What did you see that you definitely weren't supposed to see? One time I was up late at night scrolling Facebook at the same time as my drunk and high off Xanax married mother who was an entire time zone away at the time. She was messaging an old fling from high school while her husband was away at work and was sending him close-up pictures of her vagina. How I know this is because she didn't send them via Messenger. She posted them on her actual Facebook page. I had to call her in the middle of the night in her zonked out stupor to get her password to delete pictures of vagina off her own Facebook page. Was working at a hotel during college and saw my lab partner get a room with the professor. Was fixing an elderly neighbor's laptop that had nudes of his wife on the desktop with the thumbnails at maximum size. It's like he wanted me to see them. I will say though, she had a bangin' bod for a woman in her 70s. I think it's safe to say he thought the same. The man was clearly trying to flex on you. About 5 years old, woke up to the snow finally starting to melt. Noticed a girl asleep in the garden. Went and told my dad. He took one look and told me to go play in my room. Turns out girl had been asleep in our front garden for about 2 weeks, buried and frozen under the snow. My aunt sent a picture of her tits to my mom after she got them done. I happened to be the one using the phone when the message came through and opened it without expecting anything like that. When I was still married, my then wife had left her phone on to run to the bathroom while I was in bed. I looked at it for the time and found it was left open to a secret Gmail account she was using for sending literally hundreds of nudes back and forth between many dudes. For years. Up to that night, while she was fully 6 months pregnant. Mostly original stuff too. I think that hurt more. Sending nudes using Gmail, the fuck. Lol. I had a tree house in my backyard. The neighbors behind us had a pool. I was 12, their daughters were 18 and had their boyfriends over. They end up jumping topless into the pool while I was chilling in the tree house reading my company's entire payroll on a spreadsheet. Someone left it on the printer. Used the info to get a way past due raise. Was working on a school project with some kid. Opened a folder where I thought we saved some of the videos for the project. It was nothing but his dad's bestiality porn. I'll never forget the look on that kid's face. His parents got a divorce like a month later and he moved away. I went on a road trip with my grandma when I was 15. My mom let me borrow her suitcase. Pretty sure she forgot that she'd stashed an envelope of very dirty photos of her and my stepfather. About a dozen, in various acts, with various people and objects. My grandma walked in as I discovered them, and I was in a panic fearing she might ask to see the photos I was looking at. Thankfully my aunt distracted her, and I was able to hide them away in the pocket where I'd found them. It was quite an awakening. Naked men wrestling on my mom's laptop, not gay porn. It was actual wrestling in a ring, just with their soft dicks out. When I was like 9, she later came out as a lesbian, so I'm not sure what that was about. In my high school Spanish class, our teacher had taped VHS, a telenovela for us to watch. When she put the VHS tape in, there was about 0.25 seconds of other porno that played, a topless woman moaning. Out of a class of around 30 kids, only about 5 of us looked around at each other and locked eyes with a "did anyone else just fucking see that" look. Our teacher must have taped over an old porno VHS of hers. I was at a work-related retreat for a week and ended up sharing a room with a guy from a different site. It was my first time meeting him, but we hit it off pretty well from the get-go. The last night I was there, I walked into our room and found him in bed with one of my male coworkers. Without missing a beat, I did a 180 and walked out the door without saying a word. As I was walking away, my coworker angrily whispered, "I thought you said you didn't have a roommate." For some reason, my roommate thought I was going to leave a night early, but that didn't happen. Ended up spending a couple of hours at the main cabin chatting with some folks so they could have their fun. I don't work there anymore, but I remember every time I would run into said coworker, he would always try to avoid chatting with me. I definitely didn't care if he was sleeping around, but in retrospect, it was probably more embarrassing for him than it was for me. After work one night, my buddy wants to have some beers and play some video games. I ended up getting done before him, so he tells me to grab a case and go to his house and his dad will let me in. So I stop at the beer store and head over. I get to his house, and before I get a chance to knock, I can hear people having sex. It was so ridiculously over the top, I thought it was his dad watching porn. I could hear the woman saying stupid shit like "fuck my ass with your huge cock." Just screaming. The dude was like, "Yeah, take it baby." Ooh-wee. It was hilarious. Anyway, I figured his dad was watching porn, so instead of knocking, I waited in my car for a bit. My buddy shows up and asks what I'm waiting for. I told him I think his dad is jerking off in the living room because I can hear the porn. He's like FFS. So we go in expecting his dad to quickly jump up and pretend he was watching hockey or something, but nope. His dad was giving some lady a professional fucking. Guy had his hat on backwards and still had his boots and socks on. No pants. Had her like, "Did you take your pants off and put your boots back on?" WTF is even that? Anyway, she ended up being an escort. His dad was embarrassed. We were all embarrassed. But it was funny. You know a man is fucking when he flips his hat around for more aerodynamics. My mom's phone got a notification while it was charging. Curious, I just checked to see what it was. It was a text message from some guy saying "I'm going to have your pussy for breakfast." I've never checked her phone since. When I was 11 or 12 I walked in on my older brother masturbating. His back was turned so luckily all I saw was his ass. As I walked in on him, I saw his mattress falling back into place, so being the curious child I was, I went to see what was under his mattress on a later day when he wasn't home. I was hoping for porn, cause growing up in the 90s in a religious household meant it was super hard to come by, but no. What I found was much worse. I found about 4 dozen little zip top snack baggies full of cum. Ob sperm bank. Any brain surgeons want to destroy the part of my brain that will remember this? Thanks. My grandparents were both a bit deaf. I was downstairs prepping dinner and called out to them. No response. I placed their plates on a tray instead and walked upstairs to their room, their door half open. Saw my fully naked grandma riding my fully naked grandpa like they have no aches and pains. It's weird, like normally they do everything in slow mo. Apparently not. But for real though, good for them. I know a guy who manages a senior living campus. He said it's like dealing with senile horny middle school kids. I suddenly remember the famous old couple in Facebook who said the secret to a happy marriage is lots and lots of sex. When I was 18, I was pulling an all-nighter trying to finish an English project when I decided to take a break and grab a can of Coke from the kitchen. While walking there, I passed the living room and saw my father screwing his friend's wife on the couch. I turned right the fuck around and decided tap water from the bathroom would suffice. My neighbor was grounded to her room and my buddy and I were in my backyard and talking to her through her window. We were going to try and get her attention, but we realized her mom was in the living room masturbating lol. When I was a kid somehow a digital camera appeared in my house. At the time I didn't know where it had come from, but it was there. Once I was lurking around and saw it on the shelf, so I took it and started taking pictures. But my pics were bad, so as I started to view them to erase them, I realized it had more pictures, so I keep watching them. Till I saw one of my sister on her knees, sucking dick. Later I found out that the camera was a gift to her from an older guy she met online. I just stopped thinking about it and never looked back. Just erase that memory from my mind. Until now I guess. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe. Until then, you can check some of my other videos.